Well, I didn't expect to be making this video after QPR's first match of the season. Or maybe I did. So as you already know by now, our season has got off to a flying start with a 4-0 loss at Watford. I had the misfortune of deciding to go, so I thought I'd talk through my thoughts after yesterday. Despite the pouring rain, the day actually started pretty well. Managed to jump on a fast train from Euston to Watford Junction, despite there being a few cancellations in the morning, and after a pretty soggy walk from the station into the town centre, I met my dad for a couple of pints at the Moon Underwater. So far so good. We then made our way over to the ground, had a lovely sandwich from La Baguette, $2.99 freshly made, can't go wrong. Made our way into the ground, found our seats, and prepared ourselves for the start of the new season. Now the caveat I'll add here is, if you see my championship prediction video, I've put QPR at the bottom. Like many Rangers fans, I'm not feeling optimistic. I think the squad looks a lot weaker than last season, which is incredibly alarming given we only stayed up by 6 points. I just don't think there's enough firepower there to keep us going. So with that said, I was fully expecting a thrashing from Watford, but I have to admit, this was unfortunately levels below where I thought we'd be at. We kicked off exactly as Ainsworth planned to go on, which was pass the ball back to Sunfield and punt it a long ball. The long ball didn't even get out of midfield. Dele Bashiru immediately put an end to any hopes of a day one victory, scoring inside 45 seconds. Now, not only is this the single worst way we could have started the season, it's the first bit of defending that our new centre-back Morgan Fox actually had to do. For some reason, when Watford picked up the ball just outside the box, Fox decided to press, leave his right centre-back position, and just leave a glaring hole there for Dele Bashiru to run in and scrappily finish to put Watford 1-0 up. Now, obviously, Fox has never played for QPR, not even in pre-season. He's paired up with Gubbins as a result of Dunn's injury, Clark-Salter's injury. So these two centre-backs have never played with each other. But this was such a basic error. Why are you leaving your position to press? Obviously, it's his first game for QPR. I'm never going to write somebody off straight away, but when you've been watching the defending that we have for the past year, you hope that a new centre-back's going to come in and shore things up a little bit. Apparently not. So how do we respond to 1-0? We just kept deciding to play long ball out to the right wing. Now, last season, we obviously weren't really equipped to play Ainsworth's long ball. But despite the fact that we haven't brought in the players to play that kind of system, we're going to play it anyway. So our general strategy is pass the ball back to Begovic in goal and pump it up to Paul Smythe on the right wing, the shortest bloke on the pitch. Now, I know this is probably meant to be aimed at Dykes to nod the ball onto Smythe, but he was nowhere to be seen on any of those headers. The amount of long balls that we played with no success was alarming, and the fact we just kept repeating it. There were multiple points where Watford was setting up in preparation for the ball to be played long ball to the right, and Chair's out by himself on the opposite wing, free as a bird. If he actually took a couple of quick, intuitive goal kicks, you might actually get the ball out to them, get a bit of time to carry the ball and a bit of space. But no, we just kept pumping it out to the right wing. What then followed was Watford essentially camping in our half from the 10th minute. I can't remember the last time I've seen the team in the Championship play this far forward. So from Watford being camped in our half, we just got continually overloaded. We were technically matching them man for man, but the press was just so off. Chair wasn't really pressing his man properly. Samfield found himself somewhere between the left wing, centre mid. He didn't really know where he was meant to be. Powell, I think, unfortunately, is as good as he is bad. He won a couple of tackles, but he found himself caught out a couple of times on the through balls. And before long, Imran Louza made it 2-0 on the 20th minute. I'm not sure how many shots Watford had had by the time it was 3-0, but at this point, it felt like any of their shots could go in. Watford then made it 4-0 by half-time. Now, on the point of Begovic, who was also making his league debut for QPR, unfortunately, he just doesn't look nimble. He looked like a bit of an old man. He just looks too old. I mean, I can totally see why Luton didn't go for him in the end in the Premier League. He would have been so far out of his depth. And this is the reality of picking up a keeper who's played twice in the last 2 years. He saved a fair few shots in the second half, but Watford had taken their foot off the gas by then. They were not playing with the same venom that they did in the first half. So what about the rest of our players? Dykes didn't have any clear-cut chances in the first half. To be fair to the guy, he didn't really get anything put on the plate for him. Kelman was basically playing centre mid, and he's definitely not played there before. He looked like a deer in headlights. He had no idea where he was. And Paul Smith, it just felt like the last time he was at QPR, just running down blind alleys. I mean, like last time, you cannot fault his energy. He's going to run and run and run for QPR. But how can we expect to get the best out of him when we're pumping long overhit balls from the back? Chair was kept very, very quiet on the wing. How many QPR managers is it going to take to work out that Chair isolated on the wing doesn't work? So what do you do when you're 4-0 down at half time? How do you change it up? We should probably make more than 2 subs. Duke McKenna came on for Paul Smith. I actually can't fault Duke McKenna. I thought he'd run his bollocks off considering he was coming on at 4-0 down. There's a lot of energy. I really do hope he gets some more chances. And genuinely give him some minutes when he has a chance to influence a game too. Sinclair Armstrong replaced Charlie Kelman. He's the only player we have that's got that raw power and speed. And it does scare defences. I mean, he had a bit of a clash with Watford's goalkeeper, who was deciding to take time wasting to a new level. And he so very nearly had a chance to put it into an open net from a through ball from Dykes. The only way we're going to see if he can truly become any good is if he's starting every game. And if Ainsworth wants to play 4-4-2, he wants balls into the box, then put 2 big strikers in the box. I heard some people commenting that we were a lot better in the second half. We really weren't. We had more of the ball, we had more chances, but Watford had cooled down. They made a fair few subs themselves. They'd won the game. They're taking their foot off the gas. I've never heard boos in the first match of the season, but people are fed up. The football is just not good to watch. We all know that this squad is going to struggle in this league, but there are a lot of players here who are playing good football under Michael Beale, good football under Mark Walton, and that doesn't just completely disappear until the 98th minute of 99 minutes. Dixon Bonner came on for Andre Dizelle, who, the less said the better, and Chris Willock replaced Elias Chair. Now, on the topic of Chris Willock, I know he struggled with a hamstring injury for over a year now. I know he didn't look himself at the end of last season either, but the season before last, we were genuinely wondering if we were going to be able to keep hold of this guy. When fit, he's one of the best midfielders in the league, and whether he can get back to that level, we don't know, but he has to start. You have to be starting Chair and Willock together. What is the point of having Willock on the bench? There's some talk about Richard and Willock, they're not interested, they think they're above it, and they showed that at Oxford. If that's the case, then they shouldn't even be on the bench. If that's genuinely what's going on, they're not buying into the manager, they should not be near the team. Why would you take them in the squad? Because if there is negativity there, that's only going to spread to other players. I'm not sure how much I believe that. To be honest, you couldn't even blame some of these more creative players if they're not subscribing to this style of football, because we have no game plan, there is no style of play, no strategy. We don't even have the players to play this long ball system. And yeah, we didn't even use the full 5 subs. Can you imagine if we had Neil Warnock and he was 4-0 down at half time? He would literally have used all of his subs at half time. I saw a little bit of Ainsworth's post-match interview. I couldn't get all the way through it because I got annoyed pretty quickly. For starters, saying we might have just played the league winners. Well, we beat the league winners, Burnley, away from home at the end of last season, so that definitely doesn't make sense. Saying we're a few players short. Well, if you're a few players short, you surely got to put your best players on the pitch. Chris Willock. Even Taylor Richards, who once us on the bench for, he's definitely going to get an appearance. But we're still not going to see this guy play properly. That's now Ains' 9th league loss in 14 matches for QPR. And you've got to think, if this was a manager mid-season or somebody who'd been here for 30, 40 games and they've lost 9 of the last 14, you'd probably be expecting him to get the sack. Now, the biggest thing for me is all of the problems at QPR. None of them are exactly straightforward. Now, on one hand, I can feel sorry for Ainsworth because look at the squad he's got. He's got Osman Kakai as his only right back in the squad, who I actually don't know how he's playing football at this level, let alone being offered a 4-year contract by Les Ferdinand. I would genuinely be shocked once he leaves if he turns up in League 2, because I still think he'd have a tough time in League 2. You don't even have to do a step over on the ball. You don't have to move left or right. If you carry that ball towards him, it will go past him. So I have sympathy in that regard, but at the same time, he's not helping himself. Another thing I've been thinking about is Rob Dickey's left for Bristol. Balogun's left and gone back to Rangers. So we've got Clark, Salter and Dunn as probably our starting 2 centre-backs, obviously both injured. So you have to start 2 centre-backs who've never played with each other. You know it's a weakened defence. So what's the best way to alleviate that? That's by playing attacking football, having your attacking players on the pitch. Willock, Richards, Chair, have them all on the pitch at the same time. None of these decisions really add up. And unfortunately to me, it just looks like Ainsworth's incredibly out of his depth. Personally, can't see him really lasting the month, but at the same time, I don't think QPR are going to sack him. I know some people say, well, who could we really attract? But at this point, this is a dangerous combination of owners that have lost interest and a manager that is frighteningly out of his depth. And I have no doubt that we're heading down to League 1. I imagine there'll be a few more arrivals before the end of the window, but this squad is so half-baked. I don't even think 3 or 4 players is going to change things too drastically. And then players like Chair, Willock, even Field might not even be at the club by the end of the window. We went through 3 managers last season. You don't want to keep making changes, but I think the only way we survive is if Ainsworth goes. In 2021 under Mark Walton, we had the 2nd best form in the country, behind only Man City. In 2023, we've won 3 matches. Yet again, it's complete silence from the owners. We don't know what's happening with the director of football, and we just look defeated already. And even with my prediction of relegation, I just didn't expect us to be this poor at the beginning. I really hope things turn around, but something's going to have to give, and I think it's going to have to be Ainsworth. Thank you very much for watching this very negative video. I make YouTube content on all things football. Please check out some other videos, like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Thanks for watching, see you next time.